Everybody. I'm going to do some problems from Unit 1. So let's try that now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do are proportions. And proportions are just like conversion rates, essentially. Now, when you do make proportions, they're equal, like the numerators correspond to the numerators, the denominators correspond to the denominators. To solve for x in this case, one way to do that is to do what's called cross multiplication. So we multiply the 12 times the 30 and then the x times the negative 25, and you get, on one hand, 12 times 30, and then the other hand you get negative 25x. And now we don't have any denominators, right? So this is now a linear equation. You can solve by first simplifying both sides and then bringing all the x's to one side, all the numbers to the other, and then trying to get x by itself on one side. So 30 times 12, if you need to use the calculator to do it, 30 times 12, 360, okay. Maybe you can do that in your head, maybe you can't. But 360 is negative 25x, and of course then you want to divide both sides by negative 25 to isolate the x. When you do that, you get 14.4 with a negative sign is x. Okay, now if you need a fraction, so say I wanted to do 360 divided by negative 25, calculator give us negative 14.4. Say you needed a reduced fraction. Your calculator does that for you. You can go to Math, arrow frac, and then if you need to, you can make a improper fraction this way. That's in lowest terms. So another way to write this would be negative 72 over 5. Okay. What's the next one? So this one's a little more complicated. Okay, now it has expressions and the unknown number is t, but the way we do it is the same. So we're still going to cross multiply, but note that we don't want to have order of operations mistakes. So the whole quantity t minus 3 is multiplied by 16, not just the 3 or not just the t, okay? 4 is multiplied by the whole expression t plus 2, okay, which means we have to distribute 16t, and negative 3 times 16 would be negative 48. 48, right. Four t plus 8. Okay, now we want to get all the t's to one side. So if we subtract 4t from both sides, that gives us 12t on this side. Oh, oops, I forgot. Don't want to make a mistake there. The 48 is still over here. And then the 8 is by itself. Now I'm going to add 48 to both sides to get the unlike terms on opposite sides of the equation. 12t becomes 56. Divide both sides by 12, gets t by itself. And this comes out to well, 56 over 12, if we put that into our calculator, we get a repeating decimal. So 4 2/3 if you want to use mixed fractions. I don't like that. So I'm going to use math arrow frac and get a improper fraction that's simplified. So that's 14 over 3. Of course, if you need a decimal, that's about, what we say it was, 4 2/3, right? Okay, what's next? Sales tax. Okay, sales tax on an item price $25.99 is $1.95. What would the total price be on an item with pre-tax price of $109.27? So this is not asking what is the tax amount. Okay, this is a two-part problem. Note, we could say, all right, $25.99 minus $25.99 times the tax rate is equal to, oh, sorry, wait. That's not what I wanted. Hold on. We could say, oops, yeah. The given information is $25.99 times the tax rate is $1.95. And we could find R, right? And then add that to 109.27. Or we could use no, we could take that rate, multiply it by this number to get the sales tax, and then add that. So there's several steps that way. I don't think this is the best way to go. All right, so instead, let's find the tax by using a ratio. So I want to make sure that tax is on the top, so that's unknown. So the sales tax amount goes on the top, and you have a choice here, right, what the numerator and denominator will stand for. But this is how I would set up this ratio. Cross multiply again, so we get 1.95 times 109.27 equals 25.99x. Divide both sides by 25.99. And notice I'm not going to multiply anything out yet. I don't want to have to round off intermediate steps. Okay? So when at all possible, right, do all the stuff in your calculator all at once. So 1.95 times $109.27 divide by 25.99. Enter. Okay, it's about $8.20 is the tax, right? So I need to add that to the original to get the total price, right? Because the total price is the original price plus the sales tax. So that is $109.27 plus what we just got for X, which we can get by taking what's already in the calculator and adding then $109.27. And then we'll round off at the very end, which is $117.47. $117, what did I say? $117.47. okay? Because the sales tax was X. This was a two-part problem, right? Be careful. Make sure that when you hit submit on your answers that you're actually giving the solution to the appropriate problem. All right, the last one here that's for proportions. 2 gallons of stain can cover and seal 480 square feet of deck. How many gallons would you buy to cover 200 square yards? Okay, now once again, both sides of a proportion have to have the same units. So if I do 2 gallons is to 48 square feet, I need to figure out how many square feet 200 yards is. Well, a yard is three feet. So if I do 3 feet this way, 3 feet this way, that's really, so that's a square yard, right? 1 square yard is equal to 9 square feet, right? Each of these is a foot. So 9 square feet. So I'm going to do, since this is in feet, that's in gallons. I want to know how many gallons, we don't know right here, is to how many square feet. So 200 times 9 is 1,800. Right? And now we have all our units set up correctly. So we get cross multiply 3,600 is equal to 480x. Divide both sides by 480. And that's about how many gallons, right? So that equals oops, wait a minute. Oh, no, it's not 1,800. I made a mistake here, right? 200 times 9 is not 1,800, it's 18,000. I have an extra 0 here. So it's about 75 gallons. Right? 9 times. Wait a minute. No, it's not. Hold on. I was right the first time, wasn't I? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. My notes were off. All right. So this was right the first time. So it should be 7.5 gallons. Right? Now, practically speaking, you can't buy 7.5 gallons, right? You're going to have to go to Lowe's and buy 8 gallons of paint that way. All right. Okay. So 7.5 gallons. In your problems, especially on Alex, they are going to be very specific about what format they want the answers in. So make sure you read those instructions carefully. All right. Linear equations. Write the phrase mathematical equation in symbols. So we have to read this in English and try to turn it into math. All right, it says 3 times a number, and the number is an unknown number, so we're going to let that be x. Subtracted from the quotient of twice the number and the sum of that number and 18 is equal to 12. Okay, so quotient means division, and subtracted from means we do that first. So quotient of twice the number and the sum of that number and 18 looks like that. We take away from that 3 times the number, it should equal 12. Okay. Note that all linear equations basically have the same format if you were to simplify them. So y equals mx plus b is a linear equation. In this case, We don't have it simplified yet to look like that. Actually, this wouldn't be a linear equation. This turns out to be a quadratic equation if we were to do it out. This is a little too complicated, but you get the gist, right? We need to read it and think about the order of operations. This is definitely a linear equation. 1/5 of a number added to the square root. Oh no, this is not a linear equation either. Square root. Okay, so 1/5 of a number added to the square root of that number is 5. All right, so we're not going to have you do out equations like this, but you do need to be able to take English sentences and turn them into symbolic math. Now, here are applications of linear equations. So this we're going to have to turn into a mathematical equation, and we'll be able to solve it the same way we did in an earlier section. So the larger of two numbers is 10 more than the smaller number. The sum of the numbers is 42. Find the larger number. Okay, this is the point that's important. Since we want to find the larger number, we want the larger number to be x. And if at all possible, we want to find a expression for the smaller number that involves x. So if the larger number is 10 more than the smaller number, then the smaller number is the larger number minus 10, right? And so now we take sum of the two numbers is 42. So x plus x minus 10 is 42. And combine like terms. Bring the 10 to the other side. And then divide by 2. X is 26 is the larger number. So the smaller number would be 16. Okay. All right. Perimeter. Perimeter of a pin is 79 meters. So we've got a depth and a length. Okay. So the perimeter is 2 times the depth plus 2 times the length, right? So if the length of the pen is 2 more meters than 4 times its depth, find the dimensions and area of the pen. So we need to find 3 things. We need to find the D and the L. I don't know if this is to scale, okay, but it's a rectangular pen. I should have written that here. So I should say the perimeter of a rectangular pen is 79 meters. Okay, the length of the pen is 2 more meters than the 4 times the depth. Find the dimension. So let's take D as our unknown. That's the depth, and so the length is 2 more than 4 times that. Okay. If we put that into our formula here, we know the perimeter is 79 meters. And that's equal to 2 times D and then 2 times the L, which we have in terms of D. Okay. When all is said and done, we get 79 equals 10D. So we combine like terms. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8D plus 2D is 10D. We get 75 is 10D. So that means that D is 7.5 meters. And then we get the length would be 7.5 times 4 plus 2, which comes out to 32. So those are the dimensions. And then the area is 7 point, length times width, or depth times length here. And that comes out to 240 square meters. Okay? So that's the other answer you need to write up. All right, moving right along. Unit price. This is pretty easy. Unit price is the per unit amount. So you take, if you know how much something costs for several of things, then just divide to figure out how much you would get for one. So more economical means what's the better buy? Usually if you buy more things, you get stuff for a per unit price that's smaller. So let's see if that's the case. So if we do the 10 cans of tuna for $8.29, that means it's about 83 cents per can. But if we do 5 for $4.80, that's about 96 cents per can. I've done these ahead of time. Okay, so this one's cheaper, which means this would be the more economical choice. Obvious. Percents. Now, percents are just like per unit amount. Okay, so it's, but here we're percentages have no units. So this is a little different. It's not necessarily about money, but we've got it here in terms of money because this is the section we're in, where this is consumer math. You buy $95 in clothes at Macy's. You have 2 coupons, but you can only use one of them. One's you just get a flat rate of 20 bucks off. The other one is you get 20% off the entire purchase. So we just need to figure out which one takes off more money. So 95 cents times 20%. Remember, percent means, so n percent is really the number n divided by 100, right? Percent per 100. And when you take 20% of something, of means multiplication. So 95 times 20%, this comes out to 19. So if that's dollars, then $19. So if we did the 20% off, we would get $19 off. So in this case, 20 bucks off is the better deal. However, if we spent more money, then 20% of 150 would be more savings, right? So 20% of 150 is $30. So we definitely choose the 20% off coupon if we were spending that much money. Okay, so I mean, some of this stuff is common sense, right? Don't forget that even though you're in a math class, you still have common sense. And a lot of you will find that this stuff you already know a lot about. So make sure that when you give me an answer, or give your instructor an answer, that it makes sense in the real world, okay? If you're spending $95 on clothes and you use 20% off coupon, it shouldn't make the clothes $0, right? Or shouldn't make the clothes more expensive than they were ahead of time. So that comes into play a lot when we are doing things like reductions and trying to figure out how much is off, or you're trying to find sales tax or total price. Make sure that the final answer makes logical sense. All right, so here's an example. Sweater price was reduced from $25.99 to $22.50. What is the percent reduction rounded to the nearest tenth of a percent? So we could do it this way. $25.99 minus $25.99 times the unknown rate would be equal to $22.50. Right? We could do it that way and solve for R. That would be one way to do it, using linear equations. Or turning it on its head. So the price reduction is $25.99 minus $22.50. Right? That's how much it's off. Okay. And then so the rate would be that divided by $25.99. And that's what we get if we had solved this equation anyway. So $25.99 minus $22.50 $25.99. So 0.134. So if we were to round that to the nearest tenth of a percent, that's 13.4%. All right. Last thing here is slope. Okay, the slope of a line segment is the difference in the y values divided by the difference in the x values. It's also sometimes referred to as rise over run. Okay, here's a application problem. The Americans for Disabilities Act specifies that a ramp, if you're going to use a wheelchair ramp, needs to be in a proportion of 1 to 12. So that is height to length. So if for every 1 inch of rise, you have to have 12 inches of ramp. But the Pythagorean theorem says that that means that the length here from on the horizontal from the edge of the ramp to the end of it is actually 12 squared minus 1 squared, or square root of 143. So anyway, this is the ratio. So if you want to do the rise versus the run here, that would be our slope. Okay, 1 over the square root of 143. Is 2 feet above the ground. How far would the edge of the deck? How far from the edge of the deck must it be to be ADA compliant? So that would be 1 is to the square root of 143, as 2 feet is to the unknown number. Cross multiplying, you get x is equal to 2 times the square root of 143, which is about 23.92 feet, if I'm certain here. So 2 times the square root of 143. Yeah, 23.92 feet. So about 24 feet from, if you want to go 2 feet up on the ground, you got to go 24 feet away from the edge of the deck to get your ADA compliant ramp. All right. Incidentally, the slope is in a linear equation, it's the m. Where's that? M, that's also known as slope. So you may have seen that before. So it's the rise over the run. The difference in the y values divided by the difference in the x values. Itself is a ratio, right? So here we just want to essentially use our formula y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 to find the slope connecting these 2 points. Doesn't matter which one you choose to be y2 and y1 or x2 and x1, just remain consistent. So if the 3 is y2, that goes here, which means that y1 is 10, which means this is the x2, and that's the x1. Okay, so we get -7 over -6, but the negatives cancel. 7 over 6 would be the solution to that one. What if we did it this way? Well, the second part, we get 5 minus 10 over 2 minus 2. But this is a problem, right? Okay. There is no slope connecting points that are above one another, right? A vertical line has no slope. 0 in the denominator is undefined, right? So we would say there's no slope here, or undefined slope. Anyway, that's all we're going to do for today. So I hope this was informative and this helps. So see you soon, hopefully. Virtually or in person, maybe. Bye.